What's up, buddy?
So, what was one of the first things that originally made you want to get into combat sports?
Oh, man. I think I just heard so many people talk about it and how fun it was for years on like podcasts, and I'm trying to think. I didn't really have any friends that were into it. I might have had one or two friends that like had done some jujitsu or something like that. But
Like when you first started, there wasn't someone that you knew that was like a competitor?
I didn't know anybody in any of the gyms or anything like that. I had watched a little bit of UFC and stuff like that. This is probably back in like 2010, 2011, something like that. And I had been doing like gymnastics and martial arts tricking and stuff like that. And as goofy as it sounds, I'd been listening to the Rogan podcast for years, and he kept talking about his kickboxing career and doing jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And finally, I just tried it out. I went to a gym and tried it out, and I thought it was going to be a bunch of like meatheads and like tap out like affliction shirt wearing bros, you know. And the first class, just the first couple guys that I met were super laid back, super chill. They were just nice. They were just nice suits to be around. And I realized that it wasn't like a fight club. You know what I mean? Like I showed up my first day and hit some pads and I hit the bags and stuff like that. And I just met some really cool people. My coaches were great. My training partners were great, and I was hooked from the jump. Big time.
What was the first gym that you went to?
Fighting Arts Academy in Springfield, Massachusetts. Shout out to Coach Jeff. I always mess his name up, but I think it's Libizweski. Jeff Emil Haddad, Notorious Nick Newell. Really, really great guys. In fact, I think maybe in that first month or so of me training there, they were like the hot, like up and coming, maybe even pro. I think they were already pro at that point, pro fighters. And I was just some noob, you know what I mean? I was athletic and I was enthusiastic, but I had no technique. I had no idea what I was doing. But Jeff, who I'm still friends with to this day, he invited me over to his house to watch the UFC with him and the boys. And I learned that, oh, he's a freaking ER nurse, and this guy's a high school wrestling coach, and this guy, like, they were from all walks of life. Servers and bartenders and like attorneys and people from all over that they had this thing in them that they liked to do. They enjoyed the discomfort and the hardship and the fun and the highs, you know, of boxing and Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu and wrestling and stuff like that. And I remember very distinctly thinking that first month, I was like, this is a flock of black sheep, and I belong here. Like, this is a bunch of weirdos that are just like me.
I love that. I love that. So how long did you train at that gym for?
I wasn't there for very long because I moved back to Jacksonville, but I trained there up until I moved back. I want to say I was there maybe four to 6 months or something like that. But by the time I moved back to Jacksonville from New England, I had already found, I'd already sourced out a gym, and I found out about Crew Giles at Jack's Muay Thai, who was training at the time at Jacksonville Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before he had his own gym. And then that's where I trained for maybe a year when I first moved back to Florida. I took my first fight out of there.
Okay, I was about to, yeah, so how long was it that you were training down there before you took your first fight?
I think that I had a total of about a year, maybe a year and a half of training before I took my first fight. And I didn't get into it to fight. And I tell people this all the time. I got into it because it looked fun. It looked like I wanted to stay active and I wanted to get a good workout in. And I wanted to learn it every day. If you've ever been into any class, you know, every day you're learning something. To this day, a decade plus in, you know, I watch Vince while he's demonstrating and I go, let me take that detail. Let me see if I can apply that. You know what I mean?
That little wrinkle.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. There's always something where, you know, if I just went to the gym and I'm just, you know, working on maintenance and throwing weights around, I don't necessarily feel like I'm learning at the same level or the same pace that I'm learning or challenging myself when it comes to martial arts. So that's what got me hooked. And after about a year, Crew Jaws had us all lined up, and I tell the story all the time, so I'm sorry if you've heard it. But he had us all lined up, bowing out of class. And he goes, "We got to start looking at getting you a fight, man." And it was like a sitcom moment. Like I looked over my shoulder and I was like, I know you're not talking to me. Like I thought he was talking to my boy Kenny or, one of these other guys that I was training with at the time, but he was looking right at me. And I was like, no way, no way. And I let him talk me into it. And then the same month that I got my blue belt in jiu-jitsu, I took my first fight in Muay Thai, coincidentally at Tampa Muay Thai, where I would end up an instructor years later. But the fight was at Tampa Muay Thai, and from there I was hooked. Once I got my first taste of a fight camp, I was like, this is what I do now. And that's how I immediately started kind of identifying myself as I am a martial artist, like first.
What was that experience like? What was that experience like, that first fight? Like, how did you feel for the first time when bell rung, it started, you're officially in your first fight?
Nerve-wracking. Just the eternal black abyss of the unknown. Just like so nervous, so excited, like very excited. I probably hit it well. You know how I am. I like to talk a lot of shit and joke about things, and that's kind of my defense mechanism, if you will. But so I remember being so nervous, man, so nervous. Having to make weight, I had no idea how to cut weight. I did it all wrong. Luckily, I had a little bit of guidance, but looking at how we all do it these days, we're talking about 10 years ago, the weight cut was miserable.
What were you fighting at?
I've always pretty much fought at 45 or 47. I've only went up or down maybe once or twice, but it was just, luckily I had great coaching. And I just did exactly what he said. So that took a lot of the variables out. If you have a good leader in front of you, someone that you trust and someone that you believe in, that takes a lot of the nerves out of it. If you're not confident in the person that is leading the way, that's a tough spot to be in. And I've seen that. I've seen that with other gyms out there where they don't really believe in their coaching and stuff like that. And that's a really, really rough spot to be in. We saw that in Jacksonville together with my last opponent. Remember his coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
They had like they didn't jive well, man.
There was a tension there. It was a palpable, I had never met either of those two dudes, and I'm not the most versed in, the fight game, but dude, you could see it.
As soon as we walked in, met him, I was like, you guys aren't even friends. You know what I mean? Like me and Vince are boys. Like I believe in the guy and we have mutual respect for each other. But I'm fortunate to have always been in that position. I've never trained anywhere that had poor leadership. I've always trained with good leaders, good training partners. And that's the key to any of the success that I've had, is having great training partners, great friends, and great coaching. And believing in yourself and believing in the people around you, that's everything, man. That's a big chunk of it for sure.
What would you say was one of the more impactful memories you had from your amateur career?
I remember my first fight in Thailand. I was training out of Sitsong Pinong in Bangkok, and I had been training my ass off, man, so hard, so hard. I think I had 9 or 10 fights at that point, and here I was in Muay Thai Mecca, and it was a huge festival for a holiday that they have called Lai Krathong. It's a nationwide festival. You might have even seen videos of some of the traditions of putting up the candles and the balloons, or the floats rather, what a lot of people do is you spend kind of all day with your family and your friends, and you build these little floats out of banana leaves, and you put a candle on it, and then when you send it out at night into the river or ocean, wherever, you're supposed to put all of your past transgression, the years worth of grudges and the years worth of of maybe bad luck or things that have happened to you that are negative, you're supposed to put all of that onto this boat and you just send it off, right? And they have festivals all over the place for it. And it's almost like, in America, it'd be like having a giant fair. You know, there's rides and there's food trucks and stuff like that. And at this one, they have a ring set up and it's televised, it's on local TV, and there's a giant panel of judges, and this one was a big deal. It was my first fight without any gear. And there's a massive crowd, easily the biggest crowd I've ever fought on. And they're pushed up onto the ring, and it's outdoors, and it was a crazy, crazy night. And I just remember being so like so nervous, you know. I knocked the young man. It was a younger Thai. I think I outclassed him a good bit. So it wasn't the greatest matchup, but you know, just having that experience of fighting in Thailand with no gear in front of the locals, like they're not rooting for you. You know what I mean? And it was kind of cool that I got to do the full muay crew, muay, you know, the traditional dance warm up before the fight. I got to do that and show that like I'm not just here trying to fight your people, like I'm here to, you know, pay homage to the culture and show respect to you guys' culture because I'm a guest in your country. You know, I'm part of this. I'm trying to soak it in and enjoy whatever bit of it you'll allow me, essentially. So
you want to embrace it. You're not just there to like pick through.
Yeah, and I got to make a float. The ladies at the gym, they showed me how to do it, and we all made one together, and it was that was really, really cool. That was probably one of my coolest moments. Besides that, maybe you know, maybe some of the title. I got to defend my state title at my home gym in front of my grandma, in front of my sister, all of my old training partners at Jack's Muay Thai, and my mom, you know, like, yeah, getting to defend my state title at home, that was probably one of the hugest moments for me, and it was a rough fight. He up-kicked me, and my eye blew up. Imagine having a golf ball like inside of your eye. My eye blew up inside of like round 1 or round 2, and so I couldn't see anything. And the ref, you know, they stopped it as soon as it happened. The doctor checked me out. He goes, "Can you see?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I went over to my corner and I was like, "I can't see shit. I can't see anything, man." And I just bull rushed past the jab, past the kick, and just beat him up as good as I could in the clinch, and finally knocked him out, I think in the 4th or the 5th round with a knee. And you know, getting through that adversity and getting through, oh my God, I literally can't see anything. Like my kickboxing it just wasn't there. I was just praying and hoping and praying and trying to get past the jab and trying to get past the kick so I could clinch. And I did it. And yeah, it was a good fight.
How many fights into your amateur career was that defense?
Maybe that was towards the end of the amateurs, so that was probably somewhere between fight 25 and 30, something like that.
How many fights did you have as amateur?
I think that I was 26-7, or I was 27-6, somewhere in there as an amateur.
Damn, that's a good stint of fights too.
Yeah, it's a good chunk, man. It's a good chunk.
What would you say maybe like you took from, like what was maybe one of the biggest things you took from your amateur career into your pro career?
What did I take from my amateur career?
I mean, I guess there's a lot you could, you know, it's all the experience.
Yeah, it's so encompassing. It's so humility. Martial arts is a constant humiliation. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, you think, you know, you might get to a certain point, especially the younger guys, you have a couple fights go your way and have a couple knockouts in a row, and you think you're king shit. You think you're the baddest. And then you get humbled, you know, and then, or you lose, you know, maybe you lose a decision, or maybe you get knocked out, God forbid, or something like that. But humility and Humility is everything in this sport. You have to realize that no matter how good you're getting, no matter how hard you're working, there is someone out there that is working just as hard as you, working harder than you. You know what I mean? Doing something different than you. And you have to keep that in the back of your mind of, you can never do enough. You have to do exactly the right thing. You have to listen to your body. You have to recover. You know what I mean? You have to train hard and you have to train smart. You can't overwork yourself, but you also cannot be anywhere on the spectrum of not doing enough. You have to work your ass off. The worst possible thing you can ever do is lose a fight and wonder, did I do enough? You know what I mean? I honestly I can't think of an instance where I ever felt that. That would feel terrible, If I show up to a fight and think, did I do enough? It's like, if I didn't, I'm not just letting myself down. My coach is putting blood, sweat, and tears into it with me. My training partners are doing the same thing with me. If I'm not doing enough, I'm letting everybody down before that bell even rings. So you have to stay humble. You absolutely have to stay humble and just know that, this sport is a terror. This sport is insane. It's chaos. And you have to give it 1,000%. Or like I hear, these guys that come in and they want to fight, and then we tell them what it's going to take. And then they go, well, my work schedule. Well, blah, blah, blah. I have this going on, I have that going on. I'm like, that's fine. You can just train and have a good time. But fighting may or may not be for you if you're not willing to make the sacrifice, and if you're not willing to have the discipline to show up when we need you to.
You can't compromise it.
There's no compromise. Yeah. If you can't show up when you're supposed to be here, and if you can't stay in the mindset even when you walk out the door, this might not be for you, man. This might not be for you.
I feel like that's hard. It's hard to see people wrestle with that.
Yeah. But on the flip side, it's great to see when people embrace it.
Yeah.
We got Stone Cold Steph. You know what I mean? You got Ryan Arquette. You got G. You got these young cats that are up and coming, and you can see that they are not pulling any punches. They are putting in the hours. They are making the sacrifices. They're not going out late at night, chasing girls. They're not out there booze hounding. They're dedicated. They're doing what it takes and more. You can't even get rid of some of these guys. You know what I mean? Some of these guys that come to the gym, I'm like, go home, dude.
4th, 5th session a day.
I love to see it, man. It's inspiring to me. And I was saying this at class the other day about how inspired I was recently by Stephanie and by everybody that fought the other night. Because I've been in this sport over a decade now, and I feel like watching them hit pads and watching them compete, I'm like, they're chomping at the bit. They're biting at my heels. And so it's like re-motivated me and re-inspired me to get on it, man. Get on it, because the game don't wait. The game ain't wait for nobody. The game doesn't care about how much experience you have. The game cares about work right now. How much are you doing right now?
I feel like that's like the beautiful full circle aspect of it, of like you pour into them and them taking that and pouring it into themselves redistributes to you.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, man. And that's part of the beauty of it. You show up and you try and share what you can, and then you see it at competition. You see little flashes of Vince. You know what I mean? You see flashes of yourself or flashes of your training partner, and you see all the build up, boom, and it happens right in front of you at combat night, or whatever promotion. You see it happen in the cage, or you see it happen in the ring. You go, damn, it really rubbed off. It really
took it. Yeah.
It really took. Yeah.
those little wrinkles that add up that like people pick up and you see it redone in the cage like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful thing. That's a really beautiful thing. And, you know, I would say that that's one of the most rewarding things about being in this community and in this gym, in this martial arts life. You know, obviously it's a payoff when you go to competition and it works out, or you know, whatever, the fruits of your labor, you know. But even outside of fighting, just seeing the members that come in, you know, from day one, it's like I've always said the baby deer reference. It's like, you know, they're a little bit wobbly, a little bit clumsy, you know. And then you fast forward, you know, a couple months, a year and a half, 2 years, and you see somebody cracking them pads, or hitting the bags, or, you know, even showing up to sparring, or whatever it is, sparring drills, bang Muay Thai, clinching, whatever it is. And you see them, they're not a baby deer no more. And you go, look at you. You're growing up. You know what I mean? And it could be a 30-year-old that you're having this conversation with, a 25-year-old, but it's like, you're all grown up. Like, you're growing up before my eyes. You know, you're not wobbly, you're not clumsy. You're actually, some of this technique is getting through to you. Some of the instruction is getting through to you. So that's definitely one of the most rewarding things, I think. You know, there are so many different mindsets and backgrounds between the people that come in here. And some of them come from like a humble mindset, a very coachable mindset. And that is like the best thing. When someone comes in here and they're coachable and they're open-minded and they're asking you questions and they're like a sponge and they're like, give me. I love that, man.
They're malleable to what you need, and what they need, and what they need to learn.
Yeah, you gotta keep asking questions. You know, you gotta keep trying your best to figure this out. You know, if you think that you have it all figured out, you have plateaued. Like, you've put a ceiling on yourself. You know, you have to leave room for growth in every aspect, or you're discounting yourself. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame when that happens.
If there's something that you had to like a little piece of advice that you would give to someone that is like interested in starting fighting or pursuing a career in combat sports, what do you think that could be? I mean, I know it could be a lot of things.
Yeah, I got something for that. If this is something that speaks to you, do it and try it out right away. Because I had the voice in the back of my head for years, and I didn't put on a boxing glove for the first time until I was 21. And I had been thinking about it. Man, it'd be fun to try some boxing. Man, it'd be fun to try some Muay Thai. I'll get to it. I don't have any money. I don't have the time for it. You know what I mean? And when I finally tried it, I was like, this is where I belong. Very, like, day one, I remember, even being the baby deer that I was, I knew that I was like, this is something that I should have tried so long ago. So my first bit of advice would be to just try it out. Just give it a shot. And if it speaks to you, stick around. Find a spot that's good for you. It may or may not be our gym, you know? What we do in our style, maybe it's not for everyone. I mean, people seem to like it. But find a place that's good for you. Find a place that the coaches and the staff and the members and the fighters around, find a place that has a good energy that fits for you, and just stick around. Just stick around. Come early and stay late. For God's sake, come early and stay late. If this is really something that speaks to you, get here early and don't be the first. Don't rush out the door. Hang out. Ask some questions. Watch the fighters hit pads. Watch the fighters train, you know? Get someone to just clinch with you on the side. Get someone to do some drills or hit some pads or just do something. Throw some kettlebells around. Do something. Like, it's a tragedy to see people like fly out the door. It's like, do you have somewhere to be, or are you just leaving? You know what I mean? Come early and stay late. Ask questions and work hard and enjoy it. it. Because the first couple years of you doing this, every day you make giant leaps. 10, 15 years in, it slows down a little bit. You still have little bumps here and there, but the first couple of years is so much fun, and you're learning, you're taking so much in. It's a shame to waste it. So, find a place that fits. Find a place with people that you like, and come early and stay late.
Let me see. If you had one regret from your entire career, or something that sticks to you like that.
Every loss. That's something that every fighter can definitely relate to, is every loss is a regret, because you go, I could have done, I should have done, would have, could have, should have, the regrets. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think just the losses always sit, especially if it was a split. Oh, the worst is a split decision, when you were like maybe 5 strikes away from winning.
And you're splitting hairs.
I don't have a ton of regrets, man.
That's good.
I have almost nothing but fond memories. I've had great fight teams, great training partners, great leaders, great coaches. Spent almost a year in Thailand, Maybe I could have stayed longer. I just got, truthfully, I just started missing Americans, and I was just lonely. Maybe I easily could have stayed in Thailand longer, but Moose, what are my regrets, buddy?
I think it's a best case scenario that you have that few,
I really don't think, I can't, of course, as soon as we walk out of here, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't, it's cheesy to say, but I don't think that I have many, if any, man. I think my amateur career was fantastic, and I think I have a ton of open road ahead of me as a pro, so I'm out here, baby. I'm out here loving it.
What's your plans for the future? What are you thinking about?
I'm gonna ride this bitch into the dirt, baby. I'm gonna ride it into the sand. I wanna see how high level I can get to. You know what I mean? Maybe as 1FC, or more triumphant, or combat night, or fucking, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wanna see, I don't know if I wanna stay in my lane in the Muay Thai realm. I don't know if I wanna branch into MMA. Like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep working hard and see what Vince sees for me. A lot of times it takes some third person perspective to kind of zoom out, and they see what you're doing, and sometimes they have a better perspective than me with my tunnel vision. You know what I mean? Me seeing only what I see in front of me. So I think I just keep fighting. I think maybe we get a 3-fight deal with so-and-so or whatever. I don't know, man. I just want to see how hard and how high of a level I can compete at, because I haven't set a ceiling for myself, and nobody else can really do that for me. So I think that's what I want to do. I want to see how far I can push it.
I love that. I think that's a perfect end.